Today I'm going to share with you the single most important thing that my billionaire mentor taught me that completely changed my life, and that if you implement in your world today will also change your life, I guarantee it. My name is Suresh Madhavan. I started out in life with a single mother, no father. She came to this country barely being able to speak the language. I ultimately rose up, overcoming adversity, made it to medical school, and ultimately started a company in my garage that is now a multi-million-dollar global corporation. The purpose of these videos is to share with you what I learned along the way, and most importantly from my mentor, who is now a billionaire, so you too have the opportunity to accomplish your ultimate ambitions. So when I was about 25 years old, I met someone who ended up becoming a mentor of mine. He ultimately became a billionaire. At the time, I just thought he was a really wealthy guy. And fortunately, he took me under his wing and he started teaching me the things that he learned along the way on his way to becoming a decamillionaire and ultimately a billionaire. He was teaching me these things because he saw I was a young kid, single mother, no father. He saw that I was hungry. He saw that I wanted to succeed. He saw that I was just not one of these people that wanted to be wealthy or rich for the sake of being rich. He saw that I truly wanted the education. This mentor of mine gave me a lot of lessons, but I want to say the best lesson and the most important thing I want to share with you, how I manage my time and how I am with everything that I do during the course of my day was so important. He taught me that my mindset around being and becoming a billionaire is the most important thing. My mindset, how I was acting every single day. And what he shared with me was I was obligated to act and believe that I already was there. I was already a billionaire. And of course, at first, I'm kind of like, well, what are you talking about? I'm not. I was dead broke. At one point, I had like $40 in my checking account. But he said that didn't matter. He said, this is the secret to becoming a billionaire. You have to first, in your mind, believe that you already are one. And I gotta tell you, it was crazy. It was kind of like, is this the fake it till you make it manifestation kind of stuff? And I was skeptical. I said, I'm gonna go with it because this was a guy who was highly successful and was taking the time to teach me. I said, you know what? Instead of being a skeptic, I'm going to trust this gentleman. I'm gonna believe him. He was much older than me, and I'm gonna do what he says. So he taught me. He said, from the moment you wake up in the morning to the moment you go to sleep, that's your opportunity to act as if you already have achieved $1 billion in net worth. And then he made me write out on a yellow notepad, which I still use to this day, and I'll get into that in a later video. He made me write out on a notepad what I thought a billionaire does every single day, step by step, from the moment they wake up to the moment they go to sleep. I wrote down what I believed a billionaire would do. And he said, when do you think they wake up? When do you think they go to sleep? What do you think the first thing they do in the morning is? What do you think they do for their eating? What do you think they do for their reading? What do you think they do after they have breakfast? You know, every little thing. It was so, I don't want to say it was down to the minute, but it was probably down to the hour. So he made me write this out. And then he showed me his list of what billionaires actually do. I couldn't believe the disparity between the lists. Here I was thinking that the ultra wealthy act a certain way and do certain things. And no, it had nothing to do with cold plunges or anything like that. It was how they carried themselves and how they moved, and most importantly, how they managed their time. One of the most important things he taught me about was making a list. He said billionaires manage their time better than anyone else. And in order to manage your time, you have to have a structure to your time. Billionaires run their day by the minute, not by the hours or not by chunks of 4 hours. Everything has to be managed. You have to know what you're going to do the previous day. The list of what you are going to do the following day is made the night before, and it's reviewed before you go to bed. When you wake up in the morning, you review that list. Now, there's a couple of reasons why he said this. He said the first thing, you review it before you go to bed because it puts your mind at ease knowing that your plan for the next day is set. There is no unknown, and the unknown is what keeps us awake at night a lot of the time, and that is what causes anxiety and all kinds of other things. So he said, Put down what you're going to do, exactly what you have to do, what you need to do, what you want to do the next day. And then review it before you go to sleep, as the last thing you do before you go to sleep. And he said, write it out on paper, because there's something tied to actually writing out the words and how your mind processes it. And I'm gonna get into that in another video. Write it out, review it, then go to sleep. Then he said, in the morning, first thing you do when you wake up, grab that piece of paper, look at that list, and then right next to where you wrote out what you're going to do for that day, write it out again, right next to it, what your plan is for that day and how you're going to execute it, how much time you're gonna allocate to each action, step by step. This was absolutely insane. It's something I never ever did. I mean, I kind of had schedules and I kind of had things in my mind that I planned on doing, but I never put it to this degree of precision. And he said, if you are serious about becoming a billionaire, you must operate like one. You can't operate the way you are and expect to get to a position that you're not at. So I said, fine, I did it. And I started doing that every single day. And then he taught me about when I go through my day and I'm going through that list, he always said, stick to the list, stick to the plan. The most important thing in managing your time is sticking to the plan. You are gonna have once in a while deviations because of emergencies or whatever, but he said you stick to the plan as best as possible. Keep it as tight as possible. Once again, very hard at first, but once I got used to it, what it allowed me to do, it opened up a whole world of opportunity, because now everything in my life was on the list. It was planned out. My workouts, my meals, everything, when at my meetings, everything became part of the plan and part of the structure. The most important thing it did is what it gave me the opportunity to prevent things from coming into my life that were not going to benefit me. He told me very specifically, you have to be very careful of what you accept and what falls on the list, only if it's going to bring you closer to your ultimate ambition of becoming a billionaire. If it's not, then it doesn't come on the list, it doesn't get on the list, it doesn't make it on, you never write it out, and you are going to now recapture that time. One of the craziest things he taught me was how people bring things into their lives and allow things to come into their lives. These are the things that, although you don't realize it, are sucking the most time and energy out of your life. People, things, meetings, parties, gatherings, all kinds of things come into your life, and we just let them in because that's normal, right? That's what we're used to doing. He said you have to start noticing these things and you have to start eliminating them from your life. These are the things that suck the time out of your life, and the most important, valuable asset and commodity to a billionaire is your time. If you don't manage your time properly, you will never get to that point. So I started doing it. Every single thing I did through the course of the day was planned, and if it didn't align with what I wanted to do or who I wanted to be, I didn't allow it on, and I would just simply tell people, it doesn't fall into the schedule. I'm sorry, I can't do that. And let me tell you, it was one of the most liberating things once I got used to it, and I started to realize, once I started eliminating all those things, I had opportunity to focus on the things that were actually gonna take me forward, that were actually gonna help me build step by step closer and closer to my ultimate ambition, of course, my ultimate ambition to become a billionaire. One of the things that I realized when I went out and spent time with my mentor was how he operated. I would always look closely at what he was doing. And I want to share something with you, something I saw that was very, very odd to me. Whenever we went out to eat, he never ordered. Now, you may have heard this before. I gotta tell you, I recently saw someone else talking about it, and as soon as I saw them talk about it in a video, I knew they weren't full of crap, because I experienced that firsthand with my mentor. Down the road, when he achieved the status of billionaire and he got that $1 billion net worth, I noticed he still continued it. It was still part of how he was. Whenever we went out to eat, he did not order. We were out to eat for the purpose of learning and for the purpose of business and growth. He was my mentor. So we were going out to eat, not to hang out. We are, of course, friends and friendly. We went out to meals for meetings, and I would come there with my notepad and my pen, and I would take notes, and I would listen, and I would just absorb. I was like a sponge, right? Because he was my teacher. I never saw him order off a menu once, not a single time. We sat down, we started talking, the waiter or waitress would come up, and he would always say, just bring us something, and we'd get right back to the conversation. And I remember the first time he did that, I kind of was like, what do you mean just bring us something? But one, I don't even know what they have. Two, what if they bring something I don't like? What do you mean? And I realized that's how much he respected his time, that he didn't want to waste time looking through a menu. He would just say, respectfully, not rudely, bring us whatever, bring us what's popular, bring us what people like, bring us what you know is good, and obviously water. We never ever drank alcohol during any of our meetings because he said you never mix alcohol in business, ever. We would get a meal and it was always fine. Never once did I receive something in front of me and I said, wow, I don't want to eat this. I didn't say a word. I ate what was put in front of me, and I kept listening. I kept taking notes. And let me tell you, that was something I noticed early on. He was so critical of the time we were spending together, he didn't want to waste even 30 seconds of it. That's how stringent he was. And if you truly want to become a high-level operator in the business world, and maybe your ultimate ambition is 10 million, maybe it's 100 million, maybe it's $1 billion, and for me, it's $1 billion. He said you have to be so dialed in and so precise with everything you do with your time. It was absolutely unbelievable, and that's just one example of how this man managed his day. To this very day, I still operate with these same principles. I make my list before I go to bed. I review my list and I rewrite it in the morning, and then I go down the line and I do not let anything interrupt that schedule. Unless it's an absolute emergency, I stick to that schedule, I stick to the plan, I manage my time, I respect my time, and I don't let drama, people who are time sucks, I don't let any of that into my world. I've eliminated that violently because I know that I am serious about where I want to be, I'm serious where I'm going and my ultimate ambitions, and I am not going to willingly and willfully let that into my world. This was one of the greatest lessons I learned, and the foundation of what I would say my mentorship was with this man who was teaching me, guiding me to become a billionaire. I can't stress this enough. If you are not able to manage your time and hold that mindset every single day, saying, I am going to operate like a billionaire. What would a billionaire do in this situation? Would he accept this? Would he deny this? Would he decline this? What would he do? What would they do in that moment every single day? Once I shifted that and I started walking as if and acting as if, although I wasn't, and I'm still not, but what would I do? And it was something that completely changed my life. I hope you got some value from this video. All of the series that I'm going to put out is just really sharing this information, sharing what my mentor shared with me to help guide you. Maybe someone watching this video was like me. Maybe, single mom, no father in their world, no male figures in their world, no male role models. You're just kind of, maybe kind of trudging along, lost, and maybe you're trying to read some books and go to some seminars. I did the same thing, and maybe it's just not clicking. Maybe it's not working out for you. If I, by doing these videos, can impact one person out there, one young man or one young woman who was just kind of lost and floating around like I was, well then it's all worth it. And why not? I'm well on my way to reaching my ultimate ambition, and this is something that I'd love to share, because I know when I share it with young people, I see the impact. The ones that listen, I see the change in their eyes. And if I can do that for someone out there watching, well, that's great. So the whole series of videos and all the knowledge I'm gonna put out there is based on that. Thanks for watching. Make sure you check out some of the other videos on the channel. I'll see you next time.